I want to explain a little bit about using dynamic breath force and tuning, and I also want to mention this is my favorite tuning tool. I don't talk about it much, but I want to show you what's so great about this. This is the 5-cent tuner. Super useful. Why? Because you can adjust the tuning on a harp without taking it apart. I've taken the covers off, but I'm not going to take these off the comb, and we're going to adjust the tuning. So I'm going to just play the bottom end chords here, the blow and draw, and some octaves, and you can see this is straight out of the box. I just took this Suzuki HarpMaster out of the box, and just listen to how it sounds before I do anything to it. Now, I like to take a hairdryer, give a blast of hot air, just to make sure there's no condensation. Here it is again. So there's a couple of octaves, splits. So first thing you know is the chords sound rough, and we can make those sound really nicely just using the 5-cent tuner and using dynamic breath force. So let's take a look at the starting point, the 4 blow. We want to tune this to 442. We want it to be dead on at 0. I'm happy with that. Let's do the octave on the bottom, the 1 blow. So together, play them together, they come out as a solid octave. So I'm happy with that. The top note, maybe it's a hair below, the bottom note's a hair above, and that's why it evens itself out. Okay. Now, I want to play the 5th. Now, this is tonic, 3rd, 5th, right? This is how it works on a blow reed. Tonic, 3rd, 5th, tonic, 3rd, 5th. I want to play the 5th in the same way that I just played this octave and listen for beating. I'm going to play the 5th and listen for beating. I'm going to use the tuner as well, but I'm going to use this. So I can't put my tongue here and play without totally screwing up my embouchure, especially with the nasal congestion I have right now. So I'm just going to put my finger over the 3rd without getting it in the way of these channels, and I'll play that octave. You hear there's some beating there. That note is sharp. So I'm going to take my 5-cent tuner here. My 5-cent tuner is made out of springy tool steel that's been sharpened so that you can peel some brass off. Now I want the 5th. So I want to scrape some brass and lower it by a few cents. Let's see where we're at. I'll play it in relation to the tonic. There's still a lot of beating there. I need to lower it a little bit more, and I'll show you what I mean by using dynamic breath. So, normal breath, it sounds good. I'm getting some condensation there to blow away some condensation. So tonic and 5th. Actually, you can, if I blow with very low breath, you can hear a little bit of beating, and as I increase my breath force, the beating goes away, and then it comes back. That's very useful to know. Here it is. So I increased it and the beating went away. If I would increase it more, it would come back. So because the beating goes away with increased breath force, I know that this note is tuned sharper than this note, because as I increase my breath force, this note will flatten more than this note will flatten, and then that's what makes them come into play. So if I want these to be perfectly in sync with normal breath force, I'm going to check again, but I suspect I have to raise this a little bit. I overshot by a hair. Yeah. So I'm going to support the tip of the reed. I'm going to take just a little bit of brass off the tip, and we're going to reassess. That's a solid fifth. That's a solid octave. Now I want to play the fifth with its octave on the bottom, so the below 3. Sounds good to me. Now I'm going to play the fifth with the tonic above it. So when I play it with very low breath force, there's some beating, but when I go up to normal breath, it goes away. I hope you can appreciate that on the camera. So we've done tonic, tonic, we've done fifth, fifth, and now the third. Let's play the tonic and the third and see how that sounds. Sounds pretty bad. For it to sound smooth, you have to go down quite a ways. I want this to be 0 at 439, pardon me. So although, I mean, I'm going to have to flatten this by more than 10 cents here. I call this the 5-cent tuner because you can do small changes of about 5 cents. I'll do a more aggressive 10-cent change here. Almost there. So do you hear the beating? When I play normal breath force, there's no beating. So all I have left to do now is tune the octave. Now we know that bottom note is very sharp, so I'm going to lower it. I don't typically use this to lower the thirds by 13 cents. So here's a great example of breath dynamics, and I'm pretty sure you're going to hear this clearly. I have to increase my breath force for the beating to go away. That means with increased breath force, this flattens. So this is sharp, which is why we hear beating. So I'm going to flatten it so that I don't have to hit it with hard breath force for it to come into tune. So the fact that this phenomenon happens is helping me fine tune and fine adjust the tuning. There we are, bang on. That's the 1 and 2, so the tonic and third. So when I hit this chord now, it should sound a lot better than it did when I first hit it. Blow away some condensation. Handy thing to have around is a hairdryer. So that sounds like one smooth chord. So let's, I'm not going to do the whole plate, I'm just sort of demonstrating something here. So I'm going to tune The tonic of the blow plate is the fifth. The tonic of the draw plate is the fifth of the blow plate. So they're the same note, but they're not the same interval. So that's interesting. Whoops, gotta go back. Yeah, no, there's where I am. Seems to me that this is a bit flat, so I'll just sharpen it a touch. Very good. So now I'm going to play the tonic with its fifth, the 4 draw, and I can just put my finger. You can't see that. Put my finger and mute the third. Can you see what I'm doing there? Mute the third and play the draw 2 and draw 4. Very rough, eh? So let's. So it looks to me by tuner, I can't tell. There's so much beating that I can't tell if it's sharp or flat by ear. So I use the tuner to zoom in, and this is flat. I need to sharpen this up. Just a little bit. So that's right near 0. So when my tuner is telling me they're both pretty close, that's when I can zoom in using dynamic breath force to find out where I need to go. You know, that seems solid to me. I think I just landed right on it. So that's a solid fifth. So I'm going to play, excuse me, the 4 draw and the 1 draw. They should be the same note, or the same interval. So when I increase my breath force, this flattens. Now, I start off with light breath force, and then as I increased, I got a little bit of beating. So this needs to be raised so that at normal breath force, it's the same as this. Sorry, I'm off to the side here. I'm watching, sort of focused on what I'm doing and not on the camera. Solid. Now let's go back. Tonic, fifth, tonic, and fifth. Play these together. Make sure they jive. A little bit of beating there, but that's my embouchure. It's very hard to keep a relaxed embouchure. Right now I'm going to accept that because I have a cold, and I'm just going to be fighting myself, going too far one way, too far the other way if I try to get any more precise, but it'll make my point for today. Let's move on to the third. I'm going to lower this to 440, so that's about 12 cents flat. Tune this to 0. It's a bit sharp because these are closer to ET. So I'm going to flatten this. So now I'll play the tonic and the third and listen for beating. So as I increase my breath force, the beating gets worse. So this is this needs to be sharpened, or this needs to be flattened. One of the two. I'm going to flatten this a little bit, just a touch, just a hair more. That's the whole chord. You hear that? Now I'll pause here and play. I'll go back in the clip and I'll insert an audio of that draw chord, so you can hear the difference between before and after. And the same thing, the blow chord before and after. So there you go. So you get wonderful, rich sounding chords. You wouldn't be able to get the chords to sound that rich just by looking at the needle on the tuner. You need to use your ears. You need to use breath dynamics. And we did this with the 5-cent tuner to tune the blow plate without taking the harmonica apart any more than, I mean, obviously you need to take the reed plates off. I hope that helps.